Well, I'm so glad I'm living in the old UP. Yes, I'm so glad I'm living in the old UP. Hi, this is Jim Islip with MSU Extension, and this is What's Up at UPREC on June 17th, 2020. Today we're taking a look at the CBD hemp research project here at the North Farm.
Hi, this is James DeDecker here at UPREC, and today we're going to be transplanting CBD hemp as part of some research that we're doing in collaboration with the University of Wisconsin-Madison. This is one of the transplants here. You can see they're ready to go in the ground. They've got 3 or 4 nodes and a lot of true leaves, and they're looking pretty healthy still. Some of them are getting a little bit nutrient deficient, so they definitely are ready to get into the field. CBD stands for cannabidiol. CBD is one of 100+ cannabinoids that the cannabis plant produces. Another one is THC, that many people are familiar with as the intoxicating or the psychoactive component in marijuana. What makes this hemp different from marijuana is its THC concentration. So the definition of hemp is a legal one, that it has to have less than 0.3% THC. And so as we approach harvest in the fall, we have to sample the flowers, send that into the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development's lab to get tested. If it's less than 0.3%, we're okay to harvest. If it ends up being more than that, we'll have to destroy the crop and not harvest it. So this year we've got 16 varieties of CBD hemp that we're planting as part of a NIFA project, and then these additional varieties, additional 20 varieties as part of this UW collaboration. So we'll actually have 36 different varieties of CBD hemp to look at this year, which is pretty exciting. In this variety test, we're looking at a number of different things. Cannabis is photoperiod sensitive, and so one of the things that we're concerned about is flowering date that will then influence maturity date for this crop. And in CBD, we're after the flowers as the harvestable portion versus other hemp that we've grown for grain and fiber where we're harvesting the seed or the stem. So we're looking at flowering dates and maturity. And then another big thing, like I just mentioned, is regulatory compliance, THC compliance. So we want to vet these genetics for growers so that they know the probability, if they grow this on their farm, that it's going to meet that regulatory threshold of 0.3% THC or less, so they can have better success with this crop.
Hi, my name is Allison Stawara. I'm the Vegetable Crops Manager here at the MSU North Farm at the Upper Peninsula Research and Extension Center in Chatham, Michigan. And today we're talking about our industrial and CBD hemp research project in collaboration with Bay Mills Community College and the Little Traverse Bay of Odawa Indians. And also Waichke Bay Farm over in Brimley, Michigan. And what you see behind me, we have some CBD hemp plants. These were started a couple months, or about a month ago in our transplant greenhouse. These were started from seed, all feminized CBD seeds, so they were chemically castrated in some way so that all of the transplants you see here will be female plants, which will produce flowers that we will harvest later to analyze the CBD content in them. So we're growing these on some black plastic mulch with 1 layer of drip tape in there as well, so we can provide a weed barrier for the plants. The plastic mulch also provides soil moisture retention, so it prevents a lot of the water in the soil from evaporating. It also keeps the soil warmer, which for us up here in the north is pretty important because of how late the soil's warm up here. We will have these transplants in the ground until late summer. At that point, we will get our the flowers tested for the correct amount of THC as following legal standards for less than 0.3% THC. When we get that test back and we're all good to go, we will go ahead and harvest the flowers from all of these plants, and then we'll be looking at which varieties performed the best up here. This project is, we're looking at what varieties in the northern Michigan area do the best with our climates.
Another thing that's important to know about this CBD trial is the difference between the CBD production system and grain and fiber production for hemp. The main difference is that in cannabinoid production systems for CBD or THC for that matter, we want all female plants because the product that we're after is the flower and the cannabinoids contained in that flower. If CBD hemp is pollinated, it will set seed and you'll have a lower yield of flowers with lower concentrations of cannabinoids. So we don't want male plants, we don't want pollen and seed set in this crop. The way that we achieve that in CBD hemp is often through the use of what's called feminized seed. Feminized seed is derived from a female mother plant that is stressed with chemical treatment to produce male flowers. It becomes a hermaphrodite and self-pollinates, thus producing seed with primarily female genetics, the feminized seed. That seed averages about $1 per seed. So it's a very expensive input cost for this production system, which is why we're really forced to start it as transplants in the greenhouse and get as much as we can out of that seed. Try to get 100% plant production out of those seeds and then move that into the field. And we'll be growing this on plastic mulch with irrigation on a wide spacing, very much a horticultural model to try to optimize flower yield and quality. That type of horticultural model for hemp may not be long-lived because of the extreme input and labor costs associated with it. And we're already seeing hemp companies start to develop genetics for a field crop model of CBD or cannabinoid production. For example, we have 2 varieties in our grain and fiber trial this year that are actually bred to produce grain, fiber, and CBD from the floral biomass in a field crop mechanized system, which will be much more efficient. Although the yield of cannabinoids per plant will be slightly lower, the efficiency should make up for that pretty readily.
Well, that's what's up at UpRec on June 17th, 2020. Hope to see you again next time. Did I miss the snowbanks? Did I miss the tall pine trees? From the coast at Copper Harbor to the shores of Menominee. Well, you can bet your life I did till I got back to the